It's update day for Battlefield 5, and I've got all the patch notes right here in front of me. The new chapter, Defying The Odds, that starts on Thursday, and DICE has managed to make sure that the brand new Al Sundan map will be launching on time on June 27th, but only for the smaller game modes, so Team Deathmatch and Squad Conquest. This means we're still going to be able to play that new map on launch day, but the larger 64-player Conquest mode is still delayed until further notice. It is unfortunate, but the delay is because of a game-breaking crash that only occurs during that larger Conquest mode at the moment. And, of course, delaying that and getting it fixed is better than playing with the map crashing all the time. Now, before we get into the patch notes, this video today is sponsored by Elgato. These guys make the best streaming and recording equipment in the business, and they're always pushing the industry forwards when it comes to content creation technology. For more information, click the link at the top of the description, and you can head over to the product pages. Right then, let's get stuck into things. All the gameplay in the background is of the brand new patch that was just released on PC. By the time you're watching this video later today, the update will have gone live for PS4 and Xbox One as well, so all you've got to do is download and install it on your system, and you should be good to go. Firstly, I'm going to read something that was mentioned right at the top of the patch notes, because I think it's quite important. This is a larger update that adds content for the Tides of War and the Armory, as well as several quality of life improvements and bug fixes. The most noteworthy of our issue fixes are those addressing performance when firing or getting fired at, which in some cases could cause frame spikes. We're bringing tweaks to weapons, vehicles, and soldier behavior as well. This statement means that within this patch, DICE are attempting to resolve the stuttering and frame spike issues that have been occurring for quite some time now. However, I have it on good authority that the majority of these frame spikes are caused by the assignment tracking that's built into Battlefield 5. This patch is going to try and fix gameplay-related stuttering, so issues like those large stutters occurring when you fire stationary cannons or when you're getting shot during a round of firestorm. But there's still more work to be done by the DICE team in the future, so the issue isn't going to be totally fixed. The best way that you can avoid stuttering right now, though, and this has worked for a lot of other people, is to simply clear off your tracked assignments in the menu. Don't have anything tracking whatsoever, and that way you're not allowing the game to track anything and cause any of that stuttering, other than the mandatory Tides of War challenges that start every Thursday. I'll of course keep you guys updated as much as I can when DICE applies more fixes to this stuttering in future patches. It's just that if there's anything that I can do to help you guys not experience the same problems that everyone else appears to be having, then, well, I'm going to let you guys know. So, best thing you can do, turn off all assignment tracking, and you should see less stuttering. Okay, into the official patch notes then. Let's cover off the usability changes to bipods first of all. Whether you think that Battlefield 5 has too many bipod-prone weapons or not, I think we can all agree that the act of actually deploying the bipod on different surfaces is still a little bit janky and frustrating. So, in this patch, DICE is increasing the frequency that the game checks to see whether a bipod should deploy or undeploy based on the surface it's interacting with, or not interacting with, as the case may be. The game is now going to check every 10th of a second, and that's 3 times faster than the previous setting, and that should mean that the responsiveness of deploying and undeploying a bipod increases and becomes less frustrating, and that makes the act of using a bipod a little bit easier. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but at least it's not as frustrating to do anymore. Moving on, I mentioned in my early details video on this patch that DICE is going to be updating the medic and support soldier crates with some new features, but something that I couldn't show you is the new animations that's coming with those changes. In this video here, you can see that if a player selects the crate, they now hold onto it in first person, but you can actually see a player holding the crate in their third person model as well, which is something that you couldn't see before. And if you choose to run up to and interact with the crate that's on the ground, once you've taken something from the crate, the lid is going to close. The lid will then open up again once you're able to take another item from the crate. That's a nice little touch. It makes readability of those gadgets just a little bit clearer. Next, we're going to talk about AP mines. In my previous video, I covered off some of the high-level changes, but we've now got the full statistic changes from the patch notes, so let's go through those. Explosion delay after activation has been increased to 1 second from 0.7 seconds. The activation radius has been increased by 20%. The blast size radius has been increased to 7 meters to align with the activation delay. The max damage in blast radius has been increased to 1.5 meters to align with the activation delay. The explosion blast now occurs within an upwards facing half sphere that spawns 0.8 meters above the ground instead of a full radius. Players can now avoid blast damage from that AP mine if they manage to go prone in time. Going prone from sprinting is less likely to allow a player to survive that blast, as the transition is longer than a simple stand to prone transition. The maximum amount of AP mines has been reduced from 2 to 3. That means you can only place 2 on the ground at any one time. The minimum distance between deployed AP mines has been increased to 3.6 meters, and interestingly, the previous value was 0.7 meters, so that's quite a big change. Deployed AP mines are now unspawned 1 second after the player dies and moves back to the spawn screen or the over-the-shoulder camera, and moving whilst prone or crouched, but not crouch sprinting, will no longer trigger the AP mine in some scenarios. So this pretty much solidifies the AP mine nerf we were talking about in the previous video, but the increases to max damage blast radius and the activation radius means that the mines are still very powerful if a player doesn't react to them quickly enough. The addition of being able to prone underneath the blast, that's a really nice touch, but it will require fast reactions, and likely for the first couple of weeks after this patch goes live, plenty of people are still going to be dying from these things. So they're still dangerous, but they're just dangerous in a different way now. Okay then, let's give you guys the stats on the changes to the PAT, the AT grenade pistol, and the rifle grenade launcher, all of which have taken nerfs in their effectiveness against infantry targets. So starting off with the PAT, the one-shot kill radius against infantry has been reduced to 0.25 meters, and that means you're now going to have to stand so close to your enemy to kill them with a one-shot, you're probably going to end up killing yourself. And the splash damage now deals a minimum of 55 damage against infantry at up to 3 meters distance, meaning splash damage isn't going to be anywhere near as effective anymore on the PAT. This launcher is now being properly focused for use against vehicles, where its stats remain completely unchanged. For the rifle grenade launcher, the maximum blast damage has been reduced to 80 from the previous value of 100, but to compensate for that, the blast radius has been increased to 5 meters from the previous 4. This means the gadget deals less damage overall, but it can stretch a little bit further with that damage than it could previously. DICE has also enabled the ability for enemies to throw back grenades that are fired from the rifle launcher if they're quick enough to catch it and throw it back. The detonation timer is still very, very short on grenades being fired from the rifle. And the grenade you fire is now going to be represented with the same grenade icon within the HUD, just like a normal frag grenade. I believe before there wasn't actually an icon for it, which made it very difficult to spot if you were having one fired at you. And lastly, for the AT grenade pistol, the max damage on infantry has been reduced to 98 from the previous value of 100. That means it'll no longer be able to one-shot kill a fully healed player. Sticking with weapons here for just a second, DICE has now fixed the missing/broken reload and rechambering animation for the Krag rifle, which is great news because I love the Krag rifle, but I've not been using it because the broken animation would just throw me off during gunfights, so thanks for fixing that one, DICE. And the weird unintended delay between firing the flare gun after you've reloaded it, that's been fixed as well, which again is great for me because that's my go-to gadget as a recon player, so my life as a sniper just got a little bit easier. Some soldier fixes now. DICE has increased the distance at which down players can be notified of incoming medics that have confirmed they're en route. That value is now 50 meters instead of 25. I think that's a really good improvement. This means now if a medic spots you and tells you they're coming, you'll know whilst they're still much further away if you need to hold on or not. And I'll talk about holding on values in just a second. Various fixes have been applied to soldiers when receiving explosive damage, so things should now be a little bit more consistent. Manual leaning has been added to the Firestorm game mode. That was added in the previous patch to the main game. It's now available in Firestorm if you want to use it. And then these hold on and bleed out timers. You can now bleed out to the spawn screen in just 2.5 seconds if you want to go and make changes to your loadout. And if you're holding on, you can now have a maximum of 25.6 seconds to hold on for a medic to come and revive you. And then let's finish up today by running through some quick fire changes. An issue has been fixed where the near end of round music would play constantly during the entire round. This appeared to be affecting the breakthrough game mode most of all. The Firestorm map has been updated with a brand new gigantic dome location, replacing the relatively new excavation site. I'm going to be checking out that soon in a different video. The Commando Carbine, the VGO MMG, and the LS-26 weapons have been added to Firestorm and can now be picked up as loot items on the Halvoy map. Team Deathmatch combat zones for Aerodrome, Devastation, Fiel, and Narvik have all been updated to provide a better and more intense gameplay experience. Platoon emblems are now properly equipped onto weapons when they're applied. Manual lean toggle and hold options have been added into the options menu for PS4 and Xbox One players. And finally, the requirements for the LS-26 Proficiency 5 and 6 assignments have been corrected. So, this is quite a decent patch for Battlefield 5. I'd encourage you to get out there today and give the patch a go, see what you think. And if you've got any feedback at all, leave that down in the comments section, or, probably more importantly, I'm going to link a Reddit thread in the description that was made by the community manager Adam Freeman, where you're going to be able to feedback any issues you might have after the patch going live. Adam will be checking that all day and going back and forwards between teams to making sure that these things are either working properly, it's a bug and it can be tracked. Basically, if you've got any problems, put it in that Reddit thread. But a big thank you for watching today and sitting through all of the patch notes. I know they can be boring for some people, but these videos always seem to do really, really well because I think people are just interested in finding out those intricacies in every single patch. So thanks very much for watching, and until next time, my name is Westie, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.